welcome to FNWP people. Today we have a special guest with us, Matt. So, Harry, you want to lead us off?
Matt Flohr, he's a friend of ours, and you got 3 podcasts. Right. One is called Misplaced Punk Show. The other one's called Dr. Strigories
Gruesome Tunes.
Gruesome Tunes. And what was the other one?
Monster Maniacs.
Monster Maniacs. What we want to kind of focus on, we might get into the other ones later because one of them, at least, I think ties into it, is the Misplaced Punk Show.
Okay.
Because punk is, I'm assuming, a major influence in your life, correct?
Oh, definitely.
So if you could, because I know about punk music,
okay,
but I don't know about punk music. All right, so if you could give us your brief kind of synopsis and history of punk music and, like, I guess what you would call the retrospective of punk, as it were. And I'm not trying to sound condescending or anything like that. It's just,
No, I understand. I mean, no matter who you ask, they're all going to have a different answer. Like, take Fat Mike from NoFX. His take was, the Ramones started it, or the Sex Pistols. But to me, it goes back further to the Stooges, the New York Dolls, all those bands from the 70s, even Blondie from like 78. Those kind of started the initial wave of punk. And then there's those underground, like Television, and some weird bands that came out of there, the Dead Boys, who all took it in like different directions, and some went into new wave and some went into more hardcore. And then you had hardcore come out, and you had the British invasion, and it's just, the history is all over the place, and there's no real correct answer as to who started it, even though I know Iggy Pop is considered the godfather.
Yeah, I was actually doing a little reading up before you got here, and I saw that, and I was like, really? And I had heard that the band Bad Brains is kind of the, I don't know what you would call it, the beginnings of punk music. But I've also read that they've been like, eh.
Yeah, they take more credit to hardcore as far as, like, especially DC hardcore. Because even Death, who most basically no one knew about, it was like a little band out of Detroit. 3 brothers. People say that they're the first punk band.
I've never heard of them.
Right.
Even in my research, I didn't
hear about them until I saw them on YouTube. Someone did a documentary on the first black punk band. I was like, dude, I'm from the Detroit area, and I'd never heard of them.
Wow. Huh. What is punk music?
Again, that's kind of a weird, because it's just loud, fast, obnoxious, against authority. We do it our way. That's why the whole DIY thing is so popular. So yeah, it's basically, we do our thing. We don't listen to what other people say.
Very anti-authoritism, very anti-capitalism, anti-conformity.
Right. I mean, Iggy Pop in a...
Not really anarchist in the sense of anti-government, like big government, but not anti-government. In the sense that, like, govern yourselves.
I would definitely say that the Sex Pistols were a little anti-government, right?
I mean, they were more... I think that was more like...
Or not the Sex Pistols, sorry. Like the Clash.
The Clash, definitely were.
I don't know why the fuck I said the Sex Pistols. But yeah, the Clash was definitely
anti-capitalist, anti-government, yeah.
Would you say... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they're more pro people, and they would be considered woke today. I know you can't see quotation marks on our radio show, but
Don't get me started on woke, because talking about woke, and to me, the definition of woke is just having fucking empathy, and understanding people's struggles. But would you say that, like, punk music is a very kind of like a political movement? Not necessarily in the sense that, they want to get into politics, but very much a talking about politics.
It definitely started that way. Even if it was like the New York Dolls, who weren't political, but they were against what they was considered normal at the time. They're going to wear makeup. They're going to sing about things that had to do with them and New York City. So even they were like anti-capitalist, if you want to look at it.
If you would, give me I don't know if you can break it down to this many. And all right, instead of saying top 5, give me your top 10 old school punk band.
We got to start with the Clash. I mean, it's like number 1. I don't like to admit it, but yeah, the Sex Pistols were important, even though they were kind of like a boy band of the day, and they were kind of brought together just to...
Shut up, Harry! Shut up, Harry!
Fucking preach it! Fucking preach it!
Shut up, Harry!
But the The songs did make a difference in the fact that other kids heard it and they had their own punk bands, but I wouldn't use them as a good example.
Would you say that like the Sex Pistols were basically corporate America's answer to punk music?
In a hidden way, yeah. They didn't want anyone to know about it, but yeah, I mean, they were brought together by that club. By that
You can't see it right now, but I'm flipping Brandy right off.
No, Harry. The reason they were more corporate than most people know, I think, has more to do with, what is his name? McLaren.
Johnny Rotten.
Johnny Rotten. Okay,
Yeah, he's
educate
gone-
me, because
Well, I mean, Rotten, he's the singer. He's gone completely, pro-MAGA, Trump.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Johnny Rotten.
Yes. He's pissed right now because they're doing a tour without him.
Well,
As they should be if he's fucking
Yeah.
a MAGA idiot.
Yeah, all he's done is like complain and whine for the past, I don't know how many years. He's just I don't know what happened. He's got bitter and angry. The other people who have tried to tour with him, like Billy Idol's like, he wouldn't come out and say anything. He just like, well, Johnny's Johnny. That was his answer, which is the most political way of saying, yeah, he's a dick.
So, okay, Johnny Rotten turned out to be a fucking idiot.
The rest of the band,
Which breaks my heart to
the rest
know.
of the band seems pretty cool though. Like they're still doing their thing. They're still playing their songs their way.
What are your thoughts on Sid Vicious? I'm like, obviously he's been dead for a long time now, but
I feel bad for the guy. I think he should not have been there. I mean, he was in over his head. He was a fan of the music. He was a fan of the scene. He just wanted to prove himself. I mean, in a way, Johnny Rotten's kind of come out and said he fucked him up. Like, he's the one that introduced him to her.
to Nancy. For those at home who don't know, Sid and Nancy, famous punk couple. Nancy basically led to, yeah.
Yeah, she was a strung out, like, heroin addict, and she got him hooked on, which would be, to his credit, Rotten did break down and start crying and said, I blame myself. He said it's his fault. If he had never introduced them together, Vicious might be alive. So for his credit, I will give him credit for that.
All right, let's get back a little bit because I think we got a little bit off track. So,
As we do on this podcast, like, let's be honest. we
yeah, this
always
is
get
a
off track.
fucking a squirrel podcast. All right, so you had mentioned the Clash.
Yes.
All right, so give us a couple more old school punk bands.
Television, Sham 69. I would even say Blondie. And then you got to go with like Black Flag, the Circle Jerks, Misfits, of course.
Now, Misfits, are we talking about with Glenn Danzig or okay?
Danzig.
Yeah,
I like Jerry Only. He's like, he wants to do the right thing. Of course, then they had that little.
where he had a little bit of problems with the drugs.
Well, I was going to say Mr. Graves, who turned out to be a Proud Boy. He was a little problem.
I'm sorry. What?
All
Like
right,
the Proud
so-
Boys in like the Proud Boys?
The Proud Boys.
Wait.
The terrorist group.
Yes.
All right, so hang on, back up a second. The guy who replaced Danzig, what was his name?
Michael Graves.
That's okay, because you said Jerry Only, and my brain was like, "Hang on, that's not who replaced Dan." But then, like Jerry, I was like, Jerry Only is the guitarist, wasn't he?
Now he's then he became the singer after Graves left
Okay,
because he just didn't want it to die like that.
right. I mean, it's fucking Misfits.
Yeah.
Now, why did Danzig leave
He
Misfits?
just wanted to do his own thing. He just was
Come out
tired.
with
Danzig.
gothic sex music,
Yeah.
like industrial heavy sex music.
Right.
I mean, even though Danzig, he's like, what, 5'0" and gets knocked out so easily by anybody he talks shit to.
Well, at the time when he was in, Misfits, you had Frankenstein next to him, who's like 6'5", like ripped like a UFC fighter.
Now, to his credit, Glenn Danzig is not a small dude, like height wise,
Right.
yeah, but like he was a big motherfucker. Yeah, he was broad, definitely the epitome of short and stout.
Right. I mean, when he first started, he wasn't, though. He was just a scrawny little punk kid. So when he came back with Danzig, yeah, I was like, who the hell is this?
Well, I wonder if he bulked up during Samhain.
Could have been.
Because he had Samhain before he started Danzig, which
Samhain was like the in between.
him finding himself.
Right. It was still horror punk, but it wasn't like he didn't have any metal in there. At least I didn't think. But Misfits is still better by far.
Yes.
When you think of horror punk, they're the kings. That's it. Some other great ones, but they're king.
Who is a modern? Like, give me your top list of modern punk bands.
Like how far? What do you call?
No,
modern?
like today.
Like today.
Oh, like today.
Or are there punk bands today, do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't think punk has died. I don't think punk is gonna die.
There are people, I know people personally who say that punk has died and that there hasn't really been punk since the 80s.
But all right, so yeah, modern day to like today punk bands. Who would you recommend?
Well,
listen to them.
And a lot of this is thanks to Trump, because they've come out against Trump. They've pissed a lot of people off. So for me, Total Massacre is the #1 band today, hardcore wise.
Total Massacre.
Total Massacre.
Now, are they like hardcore, like thrash punk, or are they like old school, like Ramones punk?
No, they're more hardcore, like Black Flag style, Circle Jerks.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Black Flag, that was Henry Rollins, correct?
And well, at first it was his buddy. My brain just went blank. Also from Circle Jerks. But yeah, then Henry Rollins, because Henry Rollins was in another hardcore band before that, which I am now allowed to play on my podcast, which still blows my mind.
Why not?
Because, well, no, I am. I contacted this about Teen Idols, their original, like one of the first hardcore bands, and I'm like, can I play your music? Their music. And Discord Records, who is like the kings of new DC hardcore, are like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I said, I'm like, I wonder if I should push this a little farther. So I'm like, can I play anything from your catalog? They're like, yeah, sure. So now I have Minor Threat, I have Fugazi, I have DOA, I have Dag Nasty, I have all these bands that have been like my childhood. I can now play on my podcast as much as I want, which is, and to have an email from them was like the coolest thing ever. Up until I got email from Fat Mike himself. That was pretty cool.
Who's Fat Mike?
No effects.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Like I don't know.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Band names, like the band names I know, but like band members, unless they've transcended the music and like ended up somehow on like Sons of Anarchy and some shit.
As far as like 90s punk goes, NoFX was like, we're up there with like Rancid and the whole skater punk movement. But today, I mean, another good one today is MAGA Youth.
MAGA Youth?
MAGA Youth, which is basically Reagan Youth updated with different, it's a different band, but they take that aspect and made it against, and it's all anti-Trump songs.
All right, would you, I've been dominating. Go ahead, bro.
So you mentioned skater punk, right? Yes. Which do you consider that because there's a lot of, I used to hang out with a bunch of punks like back in the day before I got married and settled down and married this boring motherfucker. I'm kidding. I'm with love. I'm kidding. But they didn't necessarily, like there was some debate about whether or not skater punk was truly punk or whether or not pop punk was truly punk. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
Again, then, I mean, because there are people who claim NoFX is pop punk. There are people who claim the Ramones.
I mean, I think those people, I don't think that's true. I think those people are just wrong. They were wrong.
I mean, you ask Fat Mike, he doesn't give a shit.
How would you consider the Ramones pop punk?
When they're considered one of the first punk bands.
Because they have catchy songs. I remember a lot of people, that's all it takes. They have catchy lyrics.
Because they were good at it, they're pop.
Right. Yeah.
But that's okay. But that's like saying Blink-182 is punk, or Sum 41 is punk, or Avril Lavigne is punk.
Well, I know what your thoughts are on those three bands. I know what my thoughts are on those three bands, which is they're not. And I think that they should be taken out back and shot for even no. But what are your thoughts on like the Sum 41s and the Avril Lavignes of the world?
I never listened to Sum 41. I definitely never listened to Avril Lavigne, the whole Skater Boy. That was like, no, you're not. Blink-182 in the beginning, they were very punk. It was all DIY. It was all fuck you to the establishment. Fuck everyone. We're going to do it our way. And if we don't get on the radio, fuck them.
Now, I will say Blink-182, Travis Parker, one of the greatest fucking drummers, hands down. I will.
Yes.
No, he is a phenomenal.
I'm not a fan of the band, but you have like as a former drummer, I do have to give my props to
their offset or offshoots, like other side projects, like Boxcar Racer is pretty decent.
I always thought that Boxcar Racer was a little bit more emo-y. Because I did like fucking late 90s, early 2000s. I still watched MTV and that shit would come on. And I'm like, Boxcar Racer. These are the guys from fucking Blink-182. What the fuck? Right. They just changed singers. Well, they cut the main guy and the other guy just took over. And now.
I don't know. Maybe they got tired of being on MTV all the time. Or like, we got to do something that's not.
The fucked up thing is I saw Boxcar Racer on MTV.
Kind of like how Green Day did. They have another band, Gunpowder something, which is basically them doing like non-poppy songs.
I was about to ask you if you considered Green Day a punk band.
Attitude-wise, they haven't changed at all.
But like the sound though.
I mean, they're more poppy, but they still have songs that are still just as good. I mean, American Idiot.
I do think they've gotten more punk as they've gotten older and matured.
They've gotten more political, that's for sure. They
Yes.
didn't start out that way. They started out kind of.
Well,
like
they started out
stoner.
when he was 17, wasn't he? What's his face? My
Billie
brain went-
Jean, whatever the fuck his name.
Oh, Billy Joe Armstrong.
Yeah,
Billy
Billy Joe
Joe.
Armstrong. He was like 17 when they made it, or some shit like that. Like he was crazy young.
Yeah.
So you kind of can't blame him for
But
not
also
being.
at the same time, he come from like a healthy suburban fucking family.
So,
And I know
could
some
be
people-
wrong, I could be wrong here, right? Because I'm not the end all be all on punk music, but I do as a Green Day fan. From what I understand, kind of yes and kind of no. And audience out there, like if I'm wrong, please fucking correct me, or Billy Joe Armstrong if you want to correct me. But no, so like there's a whole.
Did you say
song.
John Armstrong?
Uh-huh.
It's Josh Armstrong.
No, what? It's Billy Joe. It's Billy
Oh.
No Armstrong.
I thought you said, sorry, I thought you were talking about the
Anyway.
guy that was on our Facebook talking about dire wolves and shit.
No. If Billy, no, he can correct me too, I guess, if he wants to. But no, if Billy Joe Armstrong wants to correct me, then I welcome that in ways that,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I welcome that. But no, from what I understand, Billy Joe Armstrong, he kind of grew up a little suburban and was fighting against that like suburbanite kind of identity. But also, like, there's a famous song that he wrote because his dad died.
Yeah, wake me
So,
up
like-
when September ends, yeah.
So you can't say that just because you grew up in suburbia that there wasn't like any kind of, hard edge to his life or trauma to his life.
I mean,
skate punk bands are more suburban kids who just like fast music and skateboarding. That was like their culture, and they were considered outcasts. That's what a lot of what punk is. It's pushing against what they considered, because Billy Joe Armstrong was not an athletic kid. He was not a popular kid, so like, he kind of gravitated towards that. And well, like those early clubs that they played at were very punk.
okay.
So they're
I'm getting an
accepted.
education right now.
They were accepted by the punk community. I mean, there are pictures of them with Joey Ramone, with Rancid, so they're accepted in those circles.
I love Rancid.
All right, so let me ask you this then. If you could go back in time and you had a lineup to go to a concert, a punk concert, what would it be?
Well,
Now, I'm going to say, let's take it back to the early days, like the 1970s when punk began.
perfect.
Like a concert generally consists of what? 4 or 5 bands? So who would be your top 5 bands that you would want in the beginnings, the birth of punk? Who would you want to go see?
headliner would have to be The Clash, of course. Then maybe Television. I know I say them a lot and nobody knows who they are, but
Yeah, I've never heard, like, what's a popular television song?
I don't think there are any really.
Who?
I mean, there aren't really any popular songs. It's just
Did they ever have like a hit that made it to the radio that I would know?
not that I know of.
Oh,
Are there any other songs that are popular within the punk community?
Not the mainstream punk community. You have to be a hardcore punker to even know who they are.
okay.
Like most people have. Well, I say that to like your normal skate punker, and they look at me like I'm insane. Like, what a stupid name. Like, that's kind of why I started listening to it in the first place. I thought it was a goofy name.
I mean, in my opinion, if your name kind of sets out and makes you go, "What the fuck is this?"
That's why I was
It's
like,
more
"What the
likely
hell
to
is
get attention and shit.
And then we gotta go Black Flag
Yes, Henry Rollins.
Was Black Flag from the 70s?
with Keith Morris. Yes,
Oh, okay.
who then went on to do Circle Jerks.
Okay.
So I would like to see early Blondie too. I would think that would be pretty amazing back in her heyday.
All right. So you said The Clash, Television,
Black Flag.
Black Flag, and
Blondie.
Blondie. Who would be your 5th one?
If it's from the 70s, I guess it depends on when. I would probably throw in either the New York Dolls or Johnny Thunder.
Okay. I haven't heard either one of those.
You haven't heard of the New York Dolls?
No.
Oh, okay.
So as far as punk music goes, like punk music is not really my thing. It's just not. I'm like, my favorite bands are, Clutch and well, if we're talking about like bands from like the 70s and shit, I'm a Black Sabbath fan. with Ozzy, like once they got Ronnie James Dio, like don't get me wrong, Ronnie James Dio can belt some fucking notes.
He's better solo though. He should
Yes,
solo.
Dio is better as Dio. Like Ram Jam, like I'm a Southern rock kind of guy. I'm from that era. Now if I want to listen to like just hardcore or like fast paced music, I like my metal.
Would you go Motorhead?
Love Motorhead.
I think that's what brings the metal and the punk community together.
All right. Well, would you consider Motorhead punk? Like a hardcore punk? Because
Lemmy is as punk gets.
yeah, I was about to say Lemmy is pretty
all the time.
anti-establishment.
I play quite a few bands who love him and cover Motorhead quite a bit. Sweden loves Motorhead for whatever reason. I don't know. But like Chuck Norris Experiment, which is one of my... They're another current band I think that kicks ass in the Motorhead tradition. Fast, loud, just...
That's one of the reasons why I love and prefer early Metallica.
Right.
Even though I liked the Load and Reload albums of Metallica. Once it got to Saint Anger, that's when I kind of started falling off and shit. And then they did another one, and I can't remember what it was, but they got into their more faster style, like
Magnetic one?
Death Magnetic.
Yes.
I think it was actually after that one, or it could have been that one, where they picked up the pace. But what really killed me on Metallica is when I found out that during Injustice for All, because Lars had beef with Jason Newsted, he cut the entire bass track.
Oh, really?
For that entire album.
Oh yeah, Lars Ulrich is a dick.
Oh yeah, fuck Lars Ulrich. I don't give a fuck if he hears this. Fuck you. And
everyone probably has told him to his face at this point.
Oh yeah, because the whole Napster thing.
Well, I mean, I think...
And also just because he's a fucking dick.
I think the other band members have probably told him to his face at one point. That's why they had the whole therapy thing.
Yeah, I saw that, like, documentary where, like, they were sitting all around and Lars, like, kind of got in everybody's face, like, "Rrr," and, like, you all sit there, like, all the other band members are like, oh, fuck, here he goes again. And you can definitely pick up the sense and be like, bro...
Yeah, Hetfield's like a foot taller than you. I wouldn't piss him off.
Also, like, if it wasn't for the fact that, you've been here since the beginning, we would replace your ass in a heartbeat.
Right.
But the cutting of someone else's fucking that's fucking low.
That is like the ultimate dick move. And once I found that out, because Injustice for All was like one of my favorite fucking albums, and like when I hear it now and I realize I can't hear the bass, like the bass lines, and I'm like, this is fucked up. But
so where did you come to that information though? Like, where did you find out that? Because you're the one who informed me.
Bob Marchman, our friend. He's the one that informed me, and I actually Googled it and looked it up. No, it is straight up, like, and I checked multiple sources online. Yeah, there was I think at this time, Jason had expressed that he wanted to not leave Metallica, but he wanted to
do a side project.
Do, a couple side projects and shit. Right. And James was like, absolutely not. You cannot. No, this is a family. Blah, blah, blah. And Lars was like, all right, fuck you. I'm just going to cut your goddamn... Because when you listen to, what's that song? The one where the music video is with a guy who's a war veteran and he wakes up, but he can't see shit because he's an amputee.
Oh, is that One?
One, yes.
Okay.
When you listen to One, it's all like heavy and,
right.
And it's like, there should be like a a deeper kind of beat to this, but you don't fucking hear it.
Thought of that. That's fucked up.
Yeah. And you're going to think about this because the next time you hear it, you're going to be like, wait, where is that?
Right.
That extra just deepness to it. When you look at early Metallica, like the Kill 'Em All is my favorite fucking Metallica album. But that's also with,
That's when they were thrash.
Yeah, but it also got Cliff Burton and Dave Mustaine in it too.
Right.
Kirk Hammett was in there and did I think they were trying to transition before they kicked out Dave Mustaine, and he, became Megadeth, and they actually had I think they might have replaced the guitarist or did something with the guitarist because he came out to be like a Trumpster or something, and Dave Mustaine was like, I ain't having this shit, because Dave Mustaine is very fucking anti-Trump and shit too.
Well, that's good to hear.
Oh yeah.
So, speaking of being like anti-Trump, that kind of brings me to one band that you and I very much disagree about. But I would be interested to get Matt's take on this.
Okay, this could be.
What is your thoughts on? So they're considered a punk band by today's definition of punk, but I'm a fan of them, even though I don't necessarily consider them a punk band. Rise Against. Are you familiar with the band?
God,
yeah.
fucking.
Are you a fan of the band? Like, what are your thoughts on Rise Against? Are they punk?
The
Are they
lead
not
singer
punk?
sounds
What
like
are
a
they?
damn dying giraffe.
I mean, I like a couple of their albums. I'm just not. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a fan, but if they're on, I won't turn them off.
Do you
but-
think they're punk? They have the political part down. I'll give them that. But other than that, I don't necessarily know that they're punk.
Yeah, they're more rock. I think. I mean, definitely have punk attitude on some of their stuff. But other stuff, it's like, maybe they're not punk. I'm kind of torn.
You're torn about whether or not
Yeah.
they're punk. But you're not a fan, but you don't hate them.
No.
All
I mean, like I said, I have a couple of their albums. I like their older stuff better. Kind of like AFI. Their older stuff is phenomenal.
I can agree to that. I think AFI,
oh.
yeah, they went very fucking emo, and
Well-
then I was not into that anymore.
Also, I discovered AFI when I was working at Hot Topic before it got all super kind of gappy, even though it was always owned by the Gap. I asked one time, like, what the fuck is AFI mean? You know, somebody said, yeah, the lead singer hates when the people ask that, and every time, you know, somebody asks him that, he just says, another fucking idiot. And I'm like, fuck that, dude. You got a band called AFI, and you have nothing that tells anybody what that means. People are going to ask you what that means over and over and over again.
Right. You need better. You need to have a sense of humor like MDC, which really stood for Millions of Dead Cops. But now they change it every time someone asks them. They have a new answer. They have some smart ass answer, or they come up with something. So yeah, you need to have a sense of humor. Can't just be angry about it.
Yeah.
Especially dumb journalists are going to ask that question.
Also, they're gonna ask that question because, you know, they want to get, because when journalists and people ask at things, everybody always asks the same because they know that when they ask you that you have an answer prepared.
Right.
It's a filler question
Yeah.
to get into to deeper ones and kind of set the atmosphere of what the interview
Right.
is going to be. But if I'm like, so what does AFI stand for? And if you come out with another fucking idiot, for the rest of it, it's just going to be a shitty fucking interview.
Right.
So, in my opinion, but
Yeah, I haven't heard that, so I don't. I've always thought Havoc seemed kind of cool. I mean, he's into comic books and into horror punk.
well, the only reason why I kind of wanted to look into them at one point is they had an album called Atticus, and and the cover of it was a finch that was
Okay.
dead,
Yeah.
and I was like, is this a fucking tribute to Atticus Finch from goddamn To Kill a Mockingbird? That's cool as shit.
I mean, knowing him, it's possible.
And then I started, you know, that's when I looked into him a little bit and realized that the lead singer was a dickhead because, you know, people were like, you know, what does AFI stand for? You know, another fucking idiot. I'm like, dude, fuck you. I'm not even going to spend my time now to even give
Right.
you. But, all right, would you, now, obviously, punk has a certain sound, right?
Right.
Do you think that there's other sounds, like other versions of punk that are still punk? Because I've also heard that Hatebreed is like hardcore punk.
See, I think I always thought they were more metal because I've heard them. I saw them at Ozfest, and I would not consider them punk at all.
We actually saw them here in Clarksville.
They're way heavier than like Metallica now.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
no, I Will Be Heard is a fucking heavy song.
Yes.
So you would say that punk has a very much certain sound to it.
Yeah. Now again, because you also consider ska punk, but still, even then they still have that kind of rhythm that they all have. Even if they put in other instruments behind them, there's still even hardcore has that certain sound that is familiar with all punk, to me at least.
Well, there's thrash punk, right?
Yeah, it's just turned up like a lot.
Wouldn't thrash punk just be kind of faster?
Yeah, it's like
A little bit more heavier?
yeah,
So I guess what the difference I'm hearing is the vocals that are coming out. So once you add in that like growling metal kind of sound to it, it no longer becomes like punk.
There are some hardcore punk bands who do growl and scream.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's not really my style. Whereas like, even Total Massacre has definitely growl to him. He's definitely an anger behind his voice as compared to like Green Day or someone.
I feel like the whole ideology behind punk is like anger.
Yeah,
Like,
but Total Massacre takes it to a new level. of anger, which is great. And I'm not bringing them up all the time just because they put me on their album or in the thank you notes, which is pretty cool. But one of the first bands that I played a lot, and I'm still playing because they kick ass. And the same thing with like Mega Youth and some of those bands. There's a bunch of them, like the Restarts, Oi Polloi, were very political, and I think definitely angry. Definitely, punk is definitely not dead. It's alive and well, thanks to thanks to Trump. He's pissed a lot of people off. So
I would not to take anything away from Trump and pissing off people, but I mean, American Idiot was based on old G-dubs.
yeah, W did a lot. They even had Rock Against Bush, and yeah, a lot of bands were pissed off about him as well. Even Pearl Jam came out and hated on him.
Yeah, doesn't the days when we were mad about George W. Bush, like old G-dubs, weren't those the days? Did we not understand how bad it could get?
Well, I think the big thing about old G-dubs is we forgot who the real puppet master was behind that, and that was old. And he wears, you know, he's named appropriately. Dick Cheney.
Yes.
Old Dick.
Well, they're both oil money guys, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but still, like the days when
Apparently we've either excited the gods. I don't know if you can hear the thunder in the background or whatnot.
Dick's name.
Yeah, I think we've excited the gods and be like, yeah, no, keep talking about that shit.
You know it's dangerous to say Dick Cheney's name. Someone will come in our house and shoot you in the face.
Like, is he like Beetlejuice? You say it, he shows up and
Shoot you in the face?
punches
Well,
you in
you've
the
also
face.
heard that, like, you know, there's this thing where you can't look up Dick Cheney's location on Google Earth. It's just a black spot.
Well, they said on 9/11 they hit him and basically said W is leaving from here, going to here. Like, that's kind of weird, showing who's really in charge.
Yeah, but I mean, all right, so
Basically, politicians bring out the best in punk rock. Is what I'm trying to say.
So I guess, like, would it be fair to say that, like, punk music is the socialist answer to capitalist greed?
Definitely. Even though there are some trying to have a conservative punk movement.
I think
That
those
just
are.
seems like an oxymoron.
There's a listing where a guy wants to form the Republican MAGA version of Rage Against the Machine.
That hurts my brain.
Yes.
Oh, Tom Morello would just beat the absolute shit out of you. And forgive me for my ignorance. What the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine? What was his name?
Zach De La Rocca.
Thank you.
I can never remember his name, but I can always remember Tom Morello.
He kind of went off. He pulled a Dave Chappelle, as it were, when Dave Chappelle like left the
Right.
because he thought the Illuminati was out to get him, and even though he turned out to kind of be a shithead himself.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, fuck you, Dave Chappelle. Like, I've also heard talks that he, and I'll have to confirm this, but like Tom Morello's talked about like a Rage Against the Machine reunion.
Well, they've done some live shows.
I'm here for that.
But trying to rope him in to do like a studio album is a different thing.
Yeah, because like he's like, no, because you're just feeding into the capitalist machine.
He went deep into activism. Went down to Mexico with the Zapatistas, and he did record some music with some other people. They were all like anti-capitalist type stuff,
Which
stuff that we will never hear, which is the sad part.
Oh yeah, because they don't want you to hear it.
Well, it's a catch-22. If you want to get your music out to the people in today's world, you got to feed into that capitalist machine, right? Because you got to feed into those record companies. But so it's a kind of a catch-22 because most of those bands are anti-capitalist, especially like Rage Against the Machine, very anti-capitalist. But how do you get your music to the people without going
DIY.
through a record company?
DIY. There's a lot of DIY. labels.
Yeah, but it's not going to reach as many ears.
Would Rage be considered punk? Would you consider Rage punk?
No.
Like a hip hop punk?
No,
No, just
hard rock. I mean, to me, they're almost on a category unto their own because they did the rap rock thing before anyone else. Really.
Yeah.
Like made it popular before Limp Bizkit and all those people came along.
Oh, fuck
There was
Limp
Rage Against
Bizkit.
the Machine.
Fuck Limp
my
Bizkit.
my coworker went to see him. I think today.
Well, wouldn't Beastie Boys kind of predate even Rage?
Well, they did it separately. They were punk, and then they were all into hip hop. But live, live they kind of are. I don't know if you've seen that live version of Sabotage. One of the most phenomenal performances I've ever seen.
Isn't a Beastie Boy dead?
Yeah, unfortunately. So
Yeah, there's only like 2 living members now.
2, and then like their DJ.
Yeah, because I actually just watched an interview where they were talking about how Eminem's Kamikaze album, the cover of it, they were like, do you think this is a ripoff of your guys' what was their album with the airplane and shit?
So, License to Ill?
Yeah. And they were like, no.
I probably wouldn't carry anyway.
Yeah, they were like, we're flattered.
Yeah, it's homage to...
Yeah, it's an homage. It's fucking Eminem.
I mean, if you're a white rapper, how are you not influenced by Beastie Boys? You have to be.
I mean, them and goddamn House of Pain.
Or MC Search from Third Base.
Who?
Third Base?
Never heard of them.
Oh.
Educate me.
They were in the original. He was probably known as one of the first. Well, all three of them were pretty good. But MC Search was the main MC. And they were about the time, late 80s. So when like MC Hammer came along and like Vanilla Ice, they ripped on them. Because they were from New York, from the Bronx. So they were very old school.
I mean, we hate on... Well, I don't, because I love Vanilla Ice. I love the fucking corny fucking aspect of him. And you know, he had potential until he came out with that whole, no, man, my sound... My song is totally different than Under Pressure.
Yeah,
you know,
that little... Ours were a
mine's got that and be like, no, bro, come on. You could have just simply said, no, yeah, I sampled that. It was a good beat. I sampled it. It was awesome. But he, you know.
He should have said hip hop samples. That's what we do.
Yeah. But Run DMC with fucking Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Walk This Way. It's a fucking sample. Yeah, Vanilla Ice had potential to, and now he fucking remodels homes and shit. He had his fucking little...
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, he has run with like rock music and that failed. Now he takes his money and everything and his
He's got
notoriety.
Show, like a remodeling show.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He and see
hilarious.
he doesn't and see the thing is he doesn't just like take rich people's homes and he like legit takes like rundown homes that poor people have. It's not like a capitalist
Like
thing.
hit my house.
Yeah, but he actually goes to poor people's houses and like helps them, you know, it's like home makeover, but without all the fucking, I'm going to take this single wide trailer and turn it into a mansion that you guys can't afford and it makes you bankrupt, which was basically fucking makeover home edition. But he goes in and like he helps people. Like he found a way to actually help people and do shit, but you know, he
Still
just
a MAGA douche, so it doesn't really matter.
what, he's a MAGA douche?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, fuck Vanilla Ice.
I don't
God
know.
damn it.
I don't know if it was a rumor or it was fake, but there was a rumor that he was going to do a tour with Kid Rock called the Anti-Woke Tour.
God damn it.
I know.
There's someone else. Shit. Who the fuck is it?
'Cause
Who's
fuck
on
Kid
tour
Rock.
with Kid Rock.
Kid Rock look out there looking like Dr. Phil fucking cosplaying as Kid Rock.
He's been cosplaying since the beginning. When he was straight out the trailer, and he was really, his dad owned like multi-used car lots. And
Oh, yeah, no,
had money. He was a
Talking
suburban
about-
kid.
yeah, talking about being from like the inner cities of fucking Detroit. And she'd be like, no,
Eminem
motherfucker.
is from Detroit. You are not.
It's like ICP.
Right.
One of the things I can't stand, like, and I know I'm going to catch some flack from a couple friends of mine, one of which is Jen. She absolutely loves ICP. Is like, ICP is this, you know, rap group that is all kinds of, you know, horror and shit like
Right,
that. The
clown.
rap horror and clowns and shit like that. But they made an album like, we're just kidding. We're actually good Christians. And it's like, wait, what the fuck?
I missed that part.
Yeah. Like my friend Jen, she loves ICP. And it's that whole horror rap and shit like that. And I made a mistake of one time in front of her saying, yeah, I don't like ICP. And she like got upset because she's a juggalette. And like, I mean, fuck, juggalos and juggalettes, that whole thing, they've been deemed as a goddamn terrorist group.
Right. Which is kind of stupid.
I don't think
mean,
it should
yeah.
be a terrorist group, but I will say that I once had this very disturbing experience with, and I like ICP. Let me just get on board saying I am an ICP fan. I would not consider myself a juggalette by any means, but I am a fan of some of ICP's songs.
I can't stand them.
I am well aware.
I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I listened to him like a little bit, but it didn't really do anything for me. So,
But I will say that I had a very disturbing experience once with a juggalo and his juggalette. They followed me and tried to convince me to join their family.
Yeah,
Like,
that
and they,
whole
like,
hatchet crew.
Seriously followed me around Nashville for a disturbingly long period of time, like hours.
yeah, instead of a Terrorist group maybe would be.
I think it's definitely a cult. I think I would say it's a cult.
Well, I think they were watched by the FBI for quite some time because there was in their family whatnot there was a lot of misbehaving going on. In the Juggalo community, there's a lot of rape and fucking shit going on, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yes, I don't
assume they just got drunk and beat each other up.
I didn't. So this is news to me, like about the rape culture within.
And I will give it to the people, the whatever the guys' names are. I don't fucking know. They did actually come out and be like, listen, this isn't. We don't condone this behavior.
Violent James, yeah.
Who's the fucking the white dude?
And Violent J.
Who's the white dude in ICP?
Both of them.
No.
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah,
white.
they're both white.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, the fat
Shaggy
one.
Two Dope and Violent J, aren't they both kind of overweight?
No, they look like Laurel and Hardy. One's skinny and one's big.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
the big one.
It's been a while since I've seen a picture of ICP.
The bigger guy, his daughter is. Now I will say this: I'm looking up right now. The members are Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope.
Yes.
I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, I thought the skinnier. No, he's definitely a white dude.
I mean, it's hard to say because you rarely see him. I don't think I've ever seen both of them without makeup at the same time.
Let me see if I can actually find them
I wouldn't know what they look like.
without the makeup. It's like looking at Kiss without the makeup.
I don't think I've ever seen.
Wait.
either one of them with makeup.
No. I think that one dude, he might be biracial. The skinnier.
I'm not gonna sit here
one.
and guess at the races of people, but I do know that like they're both identified or have identified like as white men.
Okay, I would definitely say that the skinnier one could possibly be biracial. I'm not gonna say that he is, but
And then Jen Hawkins, if you're listening to this, and you fucking better be, tell us, or like, what do you know about ICP? Because you're a fucking genius when it comes to ICP.
But I will say that the bigger guy, his daughter is, and I definitely have certain feelings about this community, is a furry.
I don't
And
understand
so
why you have feelings about furries. I don't understand why you have feelings about furries.
Okay, if you're dressing up like the whole furry community, to me it's like borderline bestiality.
Except it's not hurting anyone.
It's not, but you're grown up, and you're people who are dressing up like animals and shit, fucking each other.
Hey, what did the furries do? Hold on. What did the furries do recently? Because the furries did something really fucking cool recently.
Now, they did, and I'm not saying that
they hacked
like
something.
what?
Furries hacked something.
Yes,
didn't hack.
The furries, yes, they did.
I'm not up to.
But listen, it's still it's one of those kinks where I'm like, okay, cool.
No, gay furries in Pennsylvania hacked the Heritage Foundation.
Okay, that's cool. That's
All right, no,
there.
I will give them credit for that shit. But at the same time, it's like y'all are dressed up as animals to fuck each other like animals. It's like y'all, and the whole fantasy behind furries is to be animals and fucking as animals and shit.
Well, it's just to be animals, and then because animals also fuck,
humans are animals and shit. But like, you ain't got to dress up like a dog and fuck a cat.
But I would rather them dressed up as a dog and fuck a cat.
I would definitely
than
prefer,
fuck a cat.
Yeah.
Like, let's not go around fucking literal cats.
It's just one of those kinks where I'm just like, it's not my cup of tea, and it kind of, but if they out there doing that, I'll give them mad respect for that.
Yeah, they hacked the Heritage Foundation and looked into Project 2025.
Anonymous is fucking
hardcore on that shit, yeah.
Fucking them up too.
Finally back.
Yes.
We're gone for a long time.
Big fans of Anonymous in this household.
Once they grew some balls.
They've always had some balls. It's just,
Their
balls change depending on, because it's a hacktivist collective. It's not like it's a centralized group.
No leader. It's just
the last anonymous thing that I saw is when they hacked into the PS5 network and fucking stole a bunch of people's goddamn information. And I'm like, fuck y'all.
Pretty sure they're the ones that took down 4chan recently.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, 4chan.
Well,
I think it's back now, but it was down for a while. They say they may never be the same again. Hopefully.
I mean, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4chan is just a bunch of immature little boys, wanting to be.
It's a bunch of incels is what it is. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't get laid, so it's women's fault.
Yeah. I mean, take
Maybe
a bath.
if you didn't, blame women for all your fucking problems, they'd want to fuck you.
But we got way off topic.
As we do on this podcast.
So, shit, I don't even know how to fucking bring us back in.
And with that, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast places and all the social media places because we're fucking everywhere like herpes.
And also check out the Misplaced Punk Show. Check out Dr. Strigories.
Might as well just go to Monster Maniacs. You'll find Dr. Strigories on that same thread. So it's just part of it. It's
Monster Maniacs. And you can find them where?
Pretty much any podcast. Apple Podcast, Podcast Addicts, any place that has podcast.
Yeah. But once again, thanks for listening, everybody. Love you.